Parallel and perpendicular lines. And let's talk about the slope of parallel lines. Two non-vertical lines with the same slope are parallel. If we look at the equation of parallel lines, we have the equation of two different lines. We have y equals 3x plus 4 and y equals 3x minus 2. If we look at the slope of both lines, they both have a slope of 3. So a slope of 3. But if we look at the y-intercept, we have a y-intercept at 4 and a y-intercept at negative 2. So with the same slope and two different y-intercepts, our graph will make parallel lines. So let's say if we have a line with a slope of 4, or m equals 4, then which of the four lines is parallel to line A? Well, we're looking for another line with the same slope. Another line with the same slope, we have a slope of 16, a slope of 12, a slope of 4, and a slope of 2/3. So the line that has a slope that is parallel would be D because they have the same slope. And if we graphed y equals 3x plus 4, y-intercept of 4, slope of 3, up 3, right 1, or down 3, left 1, and we graph y equals 3x minus 2, y-intercept at negative 2, up 3, right 1 for our points, we notice that the same slope and two different y-intercepts will give us parallel lines. All right, you guys try this one on your own. See if you can determine if line 1 that goes through negative 2, 1, and 4, 5, and line 2 that goes through 3, 0, and 0, negative 2, see if you can determine if they are parallel. Pause the video here and come back. All right, welcome back. So we need to find the slope of these two lines so that we can compare the slope. So we're looking for the same slope for them to be parallel, or in this case, different slopes, and they wouldn't be parallel. So line 1, if I do 5 minus 1 over 4 minus negative 2 to find the slope, I get a slope of 4, 6, which reduces to 2/3. And line 2, if I find the slope, I get 0 minus negative 2 over 3 minus 0. I get a slope of 2/3 as well. So I get the same slope for both lines. So are they parallel? Yes, they are parallel because they have the same slope. And if we graph that, we could see it visually. Perpendicular lines, when we have two lines that cross like this, what angles are formed by perpendicular lines? Well, when two perpendicular lines cross, they form right angles, or angles that equal 90 degrees. We have 4 90-degree angles are formed when we have two perpendicular lines cross. And we have some properties of perpendicular lines. If neither line is vertical, then the slopes of perpendicular lines are negative reciprocals. Key concept to write down here. If neither line is vertical, meaning we don't have to deal with the undefined slope, then the slope of perpendicular lines are negative reciprocals. So, like if we have 9/11 is perpendicular to negative 11/9, we're saying the product of these two slopes, we should get negative 1, is another way of saying that they are negative reciprocals. So let's look at the math for that. Let's multiply out 9 times 11, 11 times negative 9. We get negative 99 over 9, which is negative 1. So one way of proving we have perpendicular lines is if we multiply the slopes and we get negative 1, then we know the lines are perpendicular. Our only exception would be we can't do that with vertical lines because the slope of vertical lines are undefined. And horizontal lines would be perpendicular to vertical. Vertical would be perpendicular to horizontal. Those would be the exceptions that don't have a product of negative 1 when we multiply the slopes. And if we look at it graphically, if I drew a line that had a slope of negative 3/4, and I drew another line that has a slope of 4/3, up 4 right 3, up 4 right 3, up 4 right 3, they would cross and make two perpendicular lines. Notice how negative 3/4 and 4/3, if I multiply those slopes together, I would get negative 1, or one is a negative reciprocal of the other. What can we say about the intersecting of the two lines? They are perpendicular. All right, you guys try this one on your own. Write parallel, perpendicular, or neither for a pair of lines that passes through 5, -9 and 3, 7, and through the lines 0, 2, and 8, 3. Pause the video here. Let's see how you did. All right, so I have my two lines. I got to find the slope of both these lines, and then we got to do some comparing. So if I find the slope that goes through 5, -9, and 3, 7, I get a slope of -8. Find the slope of the line that goes through 0, 2, and 8, 3, I get 1/8. All right, so are they negative reciprocals? Well, we could check the math real quickly. We could just multiply them together, see if we get -1. Well, -8/1, or -8, times 1/8 would give me -8/8, which is -1, so they are perpendicular, because the product of their sums is -1, or we have negative reciprocals for slopes. All vertical lines are parallel and have undefined slope. All horizontal lines are parallel and have a slope of 0, parallel to each other. And all horizontal lines are perpendicular to all vertical lines, and all vertical lines are perpendicular to horizontal lines. That just makes good sense if you know the definition of horizontal and vertical lines, that they're going to cross and be perpendicular. All right, so let's look at some problems that we might run into that involve parallel and perpendicular in equations. We have write an equation of a line that passes through the given point and is parallel to the given line. So the line given is in this equation form, and we want to write an equation that is parallel and goes through this point. So pause the video here, see if you can write that equation. Okay, welcome back. So when we talk about writing equations, we're talking about point-slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And if we want to use the slope parallel to this equation, that means we're going to use the same slope. So the same slope of 5 is to use at m of 5, and the given point to -1, that can be our x1, y1. And technically this is an equation, and that's all they asked for. I would do any obvious simplification first, like minusing a negative is the same as adding a positive, so y minus -1, same as y plus 1. And we're really close to slope-intercept form here, so let's go ahead and just subtract 1 from each side and get y equals 5x minus 11. Generally on these, they will tell you not just to write an equation, but they'll say, hey, put that in standard form, or hey, put that in slope-intercept form, so you get the right answer. But if you're just asked for an equation, point-slope is technically an equation, and you could stop there, or look for an equivalent. So, some things to review. Remember, parallel lines have the same slope. So if you need the slope of a line parallel to a given line, use the same slope. So if one line has a slope of 1/3 and you're looking for one parallel, it's also going to have a slope of 1/3. Perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So if you need a slope of a line perpendicular to a given line, simply find the slope of the given line and then take its reciprocal and switch the sign to the opposite. So if one line is 1/3, then the line perpendicular to it would have a slope of -3/1. Remember slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, b is the y-intercept. Point-slope form, y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1, also known as the equation builder. And standard form, ax plus by equals c, commonly used to write linear equation problems or express answers. And that should get you guys rocking and rolling on parallel and perpendicular lines. Beware of gnomes. OUT spells out.